I think what happened was this quiet discontent started to build. And it was one of those things where, I think it was around 37, I'm going to say, could be 38. 37, 38, I started getting that quiet discontent. What do I mean by that? It's one of those, I was about to hit 40, and all the things I thought about doing, said I wanted to do, I hadn't done any of them.
My wife says, I've gone ahead and set up a zip lining tour. Now, who knows by a show of hands, clap, what zip lining is? Wow. If you don't know what zip lining is, here's a visual. Tree, wire. Zzz. You get the idea? All right. Now, I've been married 20 years. Thank you. 4 different women, add up the years. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
And so we had a little money in the bank, and it was time to roll the dice. You know, if not now, when? So one day, it was May 9th, 2001, 3:48 p.m. when I made the phone call. How do I know the time? Because I called him on my cell phone. Called the chairman of the company, says, I'm done. And at that time, this is in the book, you know, my base salary was $250,000. I had 110,000 shares of stock. The guy's like, you're gonna what? The next day, I get up, got the shorts on in Miami, got the t-shirt on, baseball cap, got the sandals on. And so I'm walking to McDonald's. I don't have my cell phone with me, which was the weirdest feeling because who was gonna call me? And then something happened, what I call a small Zen moment. I saw a can, and I started kicking the can. And it was that moment I realized, when was the last time I just walked down the street with no cares in the world and kicked a freaking can? And I can't remember that. If you think back, maybe when I was a kid. At that very moment, I realized I had no worries. Even if it was only for that moment, I was kicking a can down the street and I was perfectly freaking happy. I know that will make no sense to whoever hears this, but I really don't give a shit. I'm telling you, it was the greatest moment. I said I was kicking a can, it was kind of casual, and you know, it hits you like, wow, I broke free. And then a new feeling kicks in, pure horror. Because now the reality hits you. Like, you know how you get this euphoria? I quit, you bastard. See ya, type of thing. And then, man, what happens is like, oh shit, what did I do?
So my wife, after 20 years of marriage, you would think that she knows me well enough. And my wife knows that I'm afraid of heights. Yeah, you see the problem, right? Because she made it sound like it was going to be 2 small trees, like, you know, little oak trees. She goes, zip, this is not a big deal, right? But we got to Belize, and guess what? These are over 100-foot trees. And I'm looking up, and I'm seeing these people, like, in the canopy, right up there, all the way, you know, and I'm looking at this going, no way am I going up there. And then my little girl, the great one, looks up at me with those beautiful big eyes and says that one word that would melt any father's heart. What is that? No. She goes, sissy, right? You don't know my girl. I raised her hard, right? So my girl says, sissy. Now, when your girl calls you a sissy, it's time to man up.
If you don't know the organization, basically you get like 10 speeches, and each speech is supposed to help you improve on different aspects of speaking. The first speech I gave was, man, it was horrible, man. It was pretty pathetic. I'm glad I don't have that tape. I don't think I could see it again. And so I looked at my first tape, I said, man, I suck. The second speech got better, third, fourth, fifth, so forth. I completed all 10. It took me about a year, maybe a little bit over a year to complete all 10 speeches because you don't do them right after the other. The second year, there was a competition. And what it was is that everybody in Toastmasters in that little organization could compete to go to what they call the area level, the next level, and compete with other Toastmasters organizations. So we held the competition within our little group. And that year, the second year, I had to compete against Hale. And Hale Mesereau was one of the most eloquent speakers I'd ever heard. The guy was, he was like a gentleman when he spoke. I mean, it was just like, it was regal. I mean, the man was just regal when he spoke. And I used to look at this guy like, holy shit, look at this guy speak that way. Now, he wasn't like rah-rah. The man was regal. He didn't need to get emotional. He just talked, and you just listened, and you enjoyed it. I didn't win. I was devastated. I was like, but again, when you lose to a guy like that, you're not feeling too bad. Fast forward, make a story short, third year, you know what happened. Kid Vic got it. I actually beat him. And the guy was gracious enough to come over and says, man, it was excellent, Victor. Congratulations. And so, as I went back to my working career, I got the bug. You know how you get the bug, but you let it sit there? And I guess the bug was getting bigger. The last company I was with, before I really got the bug, they gave us tickets. The organization was called Peak Performance, and they gave us these tickets. The company bought tickets, and every month, Peak Performance brought in some of the top speakers. That's when I saw Zig Ziglar for the first time. I was like, holy shit.
So I put on the gear, put all kinds of harness on you, right? You get all ready for it. And then what happened, we had to climb up the side of the hill to get to the first platform. Get to the first platform, and there we are. What you do, listen carefully, pay attention. What you do is you got to put the pulley system on the wire, and you got to hold it with your left hand, right? Now, the wire's going that way. They give you a special glove with a piece of rawhide, like leather, right there. They say that's your braking system.
Fast forward, if I say from 95, I mean, think about it. I walked away in 2001, so it's like something that built over, what, almost 6 years? By the time it built up, and I said, what am I going to do? I said, man, it's too late to open up a nightclub. Definitely don't want to be in a band anymore. Let's go do it.
As you're zipping, you're holding down like this, and you let your hand right on top of the wire. And the guy says, now listen carefully. When you get halfway, you're going to start picking up speed. But you're also going to start seeing the other tree. What you need to do is to slow down. And this is how you do it, he says. What you need to do is tap, 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 tap. You know, just gently tap the brake, right? He says, whatever you do, do not try to stop on the dime. He says your arm will come out of its socket. Now, you know how people give you too much information?
If you're too uptight, you're not going to like my humor. You're not going to like my style of speaking because you're expecting a more, you know, basic speaking.
We're ready. It's our turn. There we are on the platform. Visualize it, okay? I let my wife and kids go first because that's what real men do, right? So I let them go first. Wait. What does society say? Let's go by norms. Women and children what? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
People are getting smarter. And today, in a world of high-tech society, we have access to the internet. We can now download videos from other speakers, audio. We got all access to this information. The question is, how do you differentiate yourself as a speaker in this market? And if you don't have your own style, you're screwed.
It was my turn, and sure enough, I start zipping. Now, I don't know if I jumped off. I can't remember. I really can't. He may have pushed me off. It's not a big deal. I don't think we should talk about it. By the way, I do have pictures, but I will not show you the video because there's no point in seeing a grown man scream. It's just wrong, right? On so many levels, it's wrong, right?
Look, there's nothing new in the world of motivation as far as new material. The only thing new is how you deliver the content and make it more impactful on the individual, period.
I'm zipping, right? And you're like, zzz, right? And I start zipping, and I tell myself, don't look down. You ever notice when you tell your brain not to do something, it does the what? Exact opposite. So I look down, and man, the floor is a blur. My feet are dangling. I'm like, this is not good. And then I see the other tree, and I start what? Yeah. And sure enough, I get to the next platform, and you know, I kept going. I kept making it. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think I was scared? Yes. Do you think I was scared? Yes. But would you also agree that it was probably what? Exhilarating, wasn't it? Because everything you ever try for the first time, is it going to be scary? Absolutely. But is it also going to be what? Exhilarating? Absolutely, folks.